Thank you. The next question is from James Wickland of Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Good morning, guys. I have a question. Why don't y'all just convert to a C Corp? I mean, why are you an MLP, and should you be an MLP? 3 years ago, when y'all came public, 80% of multi-year contract coverage was the pitch, and 3 years later, here we are, zero distribution. It would appear that the Sand MLP model is flawed, and that you guys should be a C Corp. What am I missing?
That one, we don't think the model is flawed. It's clearly under stress and pressure at the moment. The board constantly evaluates what's the right structure for the long term for High Crush, and when we look at sand demand and long-term fundamentals of more longer laterals, more stages per well, more sand usage per stage, and that we want the opportunity and the capital structure that provides the most flexibility to be able to respond to the long term.
Well, I understand that, but all those arguments you make, longer laterals, more sand intense, they were all true 3 years ago. And you had, take-or-pay contracts for 80% of your volumes for the next several years. And like I say, 3 years later, we're at zero distribution. I would have to believe that. I don't blame you for wanting the flexibility. I got that. But do you think you'll be allowed to stay in MLP, I guess, is a question. I mean, does this put the whole MLP structure at risk when something like this can happen 3 years after the pitch everybody got for you being one?
That we can't forecast, if you will, how the market will respond in this the darkest hour of an unforeseen and, if you will, unprecedented downturn in that. It doesn't call into question the whole MLP model in our mind. I mean, it's a logical question to ask, one which the board asked of us, one which we thoroughly evaluated and discussed. And as I say, I don't mean to be redundant, but that we think it provides us the most flexibility for the long term, because we think that this is an excellent long-term business to be in, and we want to make sure we have that maximum flexibility.
Okay, let me ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Jim, I was just going to say, to echo what Bob said, we're the number one sand producer in Wisconsin. We're number 3 in the world by the measures we look at in terms of Northern White. And looking forward, I think lost in the carnage that the service industry is experiencing right now are the fundamentals of increasing frac sand intensity. Nobody's, of course, talking about that now, but there will be a recovery. There will be a return to drilling, not just in the core areas where we're drilling today, but outside those core areas. And frankly, in conversations we've had with the CEOs of our biggest customers, they're looking at 17 saying, man, there's going to be fewer players out there. The little guys are dropping like flies. And just a word about contracts. It's easy to dismiss the value of contracts. That's very understandable in this market. But for High Crush, our contractual history with our customers has value not only for High Crush but for our customers. We've obviously been working with our customers, and as we've stated in previous quarters, receiving additional volumes and additional turn. It's not lost on our customers that in the future, again, when the recovery occurs, surety of supply is going to be critical, especially in a world where there will be fewer suppliers and even fewer that can compete with a whole range of services. So that's why our belief that the traditional MLP model is still valid. A lot more sand is going to be used going forward. There's going to be fewer players, and the big customers want to make sure it's going to be there.
Okay, well, my follow-up, and I understand your point, and it sounds exactly like what the pressure pumping companies are saying, that eventually things will come back and people will need what we have and the people who are left win. So if it's fair to compare you guys to the pressure pumping companies and you have the same drivers and your advantage really in your product, which is commoditized to some extent, but the service delivery model that you have, another claim true for both you guys and sand and pressure pumping companies, why should I buy a sand company today at all? I mean, I'll also ask you why I should buy you guys, but we all know why you're the best. I got that. But why should we buy a sand company at all today?
I think you have to look at it for the long term. As we said, it is there are storm clouds and there are dark storm clouds on the industry right now. But, you have to look through and look to the future. We do think that activity is going to start increasing. We do think that the cost reductions, if you will, and the structural price, that these are not structural, that these are temporary in terms of pricing, etc. And we do believe that the eventual recovery will lead to supply chain tightness. So we think if you have a long-term view and that the sand industry is a key component of and a necessary component of unconventional shale production in North America, that you should buy sand companies and High Crush in particular.
Okay, guys, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.